Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Rufftown, McManus and Alison McConnell here with me in the studio as a miserable week continues for Scottish football. Can it get any worse, or will we be lifted by what's on show domestically over the weekend and Saturday and Sunday? Give us your view, because quite simply, Ruffy, it all unfolded the way I thought it was going to unfold between Aberdeen and Hibs. Hard luck stories apart, we've still got two teams that lost.
Yeah, there was hard luck stories. I think the sending off at the first game was unfortunate. You know, VAR again. I mean, I just couldn't get my head around that one.
Did you say unfortunate or ridiculous?
Well, ridiculous. The sending off. The handball.
The handball.
A joke. Absolute joke. You know, what's the boy supposed to do? He's just... I'd love to know the dialogue between these people.
And Canada didn't sort of injury, they sent him off. It wasn't just a penalty.
He had yellow.
Ali, if I keep showing you something relentlessly to try and drive it home to you what you think the problem is when you're constantly in the referee's ear. At one point that referee looked round as if to say, I don't know what I'm doing. And they were just constantly going, go back, hand, hand, hand. You know, it was almost as if they were trying to,
influence the decision.
Totally, utterly.
Rather than allow him just to watch it in real time and make his decision. Yeah, I thought Aberdeen would feel really hard done by. I thought it was a preposterous decision, and of course it changes the nature of the tie entirely. It kills him. That call, it just kills him early on in the game.
I thought they started well as well.
Yeah, I did. I thought they were there for the taking for Aberdeen. The first half, I thought Aberdeen looked comfortable in the game. As Alison said, it totally changes the dynamic of the game. You know, you're behind in the tie, you're down to 10 men, the tie's done, effectively, and they go and get the quick second goal. But really, really disappointing decision from the referee. If you could argue that Aberdeen got one in the first leg.
I was just about to say,
maybe evens itself up, Peter, because they got a Steaua Bucharest had a man sent off for nothing in the first leg, so they'll argue that, well, swings and roundabouts. You know, we got in the first tie, but disappointing for Aberdeen. You know, they hung in the second half and it didn't get embarrassed and out of hand, but they got into the Conference League, and obviously you've got the draw you're going to speak about now, but that was a tie for me that I think was winnable. I didn't think they were a great side, Peter.
I thought they were poor.
And Aberdeen, you know, again, like Hearts against, I think it was Luzern a few years ago, and Pilsen.
FC Zurich,
sorry, and then Pilsen, I think they did a tie against. These are ties that if you play really well in the two legs you can get through, so disappointing for Aberdeen.
Yeah, disappointing, not good enough. I'm going to be brutal about it. It's just not good enough from Aberdeen. It's not good enough from the Scottish sides, what we've witnessed this week. And despite the fact that I thought the referee gave them a dubious penalty, influenced the whole game by sending him off, it's just not good enough, Ruffy.
No, it isn't, you know, and particularly away from home as well. We'll probably come to the Hibs game. You know, I think the inability to see games out, you know, when you're winning, you know, and being more... not defensively, but, you know, making it harder for the other teams. The other teams just seem to get goals. You know, there's no rhyme or reason to the defending, particularly in Europe. So that's something we have to improve on.
Well, Aberdeen will get cash, which is what we all desperately wanted for all the clubs who were involved in European competition, but they drop into the conference. Here's the draw for Aberdeen in that conference. Shakhtar, Sparta Prague, Strasbourg, AEK Athens, Noah. That's a team, not just an individual who's going to play against them. And AEK Larnaca.
Can I just say, 3 unbelievable away ties for Aberdeen fans.
Yes.
Cyprus, Greece and the Czech Republic. You couldn't handpick better ones, to be honest.
So basically just a booze up, yeah.
That's tremendous. I think you're an Aberdeen fan looking at that, you're not even caring if they qualify. I think that's 3 tremendous away trips.
I'm caring, I want them to qualify.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I think the coefficient has taken an absolute battering this week, as it has done across recent seasons too. I think anything that you can do to pick up points and bolster it might actually be a bit too late, but you need them to try and pick up points along the way. Same with Rangers and Celtic when they go in now to the Europa League. They need to be trying to bank points and bank wins, because the danger is that we'll lose a team now.
Okay, I try and read out some, points of view on our feed at times. Some you agree with, some you don't. Kenny, who's a Dons fan, says, yes, Tam, but we never got a penalty. Come on. We should have had a penalty as well.
Yeah, listen, I think that when you look at the decision to send the player off bit in the first half, you know, it gave Aberdeen a real advantage and they went 2-0 down. So as I said, swings and roundabouts, that was a dreadful decision as well, and then Aberdeen won last night, but they shouldn't be equaling each other. They should be getting the right decisions, and that's two poor decisions on both legs for the officials.
And Les says, I said in the chat days ago that Scottish football is rubbish, with exceptions. Okay, I wonder if you could tell us who those exceptions are, Les. We'd love to know. Okay, Hibs. I'm sorry, Ruffy. Ruffy, you're 3-1 up. For God's sake, man, just defend it. Take Martin Boyle off, take Bowie off, and stick 5 defenders and 4 in front of them, and just defend 3-1.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we just can't do that European style of football. We see a game out. I mean, I think if you go back to Champions League away back, I'm picking out Chelsea in particular. If Chelsea needed to go somewhere away from home and get nothing each, they'd get nothing each. Because they've got the players in their makeup, they've got the style to do it, you know, and say, we've been there, we've done it, this is what we need to get. We don't seem to have teams who go out there needing, once they've got it, they don't know what to do with it. And it is incredible to put in such a shift and then lose it the way they lost it is tragic.
The way they lost it, the way they lost it, yeah. I knew you were on that kind of a vein where it was forcing you to say losed. By the way, look at Ali. I'm amazed she hasn't stabbed you with her pen. She's the grammar queen. She's all over any of that, by the way. Thank God I didn't get you to spell it, Ruffy. She'd have been battering lumps out of you right now.
2 O's in it.
In the end, I mean, I've got to pay tribute to Martin Boyle, because if you look at the stats, he deserves credit. He took his goal well, Tam. But if you see his stats, he's got 9 goals. European all-time top goal scorer. Now, Pat Stanton with 8, Alan Gordon, Joe McBride, and then Arthur Duncan with 7. Some brilliant names he's joined there, eh?
Yeah, he is. I think he's been fantastic for Hibs again last night. You know, he scores a great goal. Listen, that volley, if that goes in, the tie's done. And I get where you're coming from. Hibs need to go and see the game out, but for that 20-25 minutes in the second half, Hibs were absolutely incredibly good. I mean, they went 1-0 down at half time, and I thought tie's done. And then I think David Gray's went in and had a right go at them. I think the first half they were very passive. Peter, they just accepted it for me. And second half, you know, 3 goals in 10 minutes. You know, and that travelling support, we're in dreamland. You think Hibs can go and get through here. Martin Boyle hits the bar, a couple of other chances. For me, I think David Gray, I've always been very positive with David Gray. I thought he made a mistake by not bringing Grant Hanley on. I think with 5-10 minutes to go, you bring him on, they just lumped balls into the box. That's how they get their goal. The ball broke to the boy and he put it in the net. I'd have brought Grant Hanley on. I think he brought the boy Megwell on right back. I think it was a wrong call. Hanley on experience, go and head things away and they see the game out. But I think if you're a Hibs supporter, you watched that last night, you're at the game or you watched it at home, you're looking at that Hibs squad now and you're thinking, we're in for a right good season, Peter. I think Hibs look a very, very strong team this year. Okay, we're going to have a right good ding-dong about that shortly. Okay, let's get to the big two. Only in this week of all weeks could we have a situation where there's anger, there's calls for a manager to get sacked, there's calls for a board to get sacked. It has to be Rangers and Celtic. Rangers, just the biggest humiliation. It was embarrassing sitting watching it. The red card, why he does that, I'll never know. And then from there, you're actually sitting wondering, should you just go behind the couch and just listen to them as the goals go in? And it was 6 going on anything.
Yeah, I think it could. It's not an exaggeration to say it might have been more. It was desperate stuff. I think it looked like a team in free fall. The chaos around the team, the toxicity around it coming from the stands. It's a perfect storm, I think, of poor results, poor individual fallouts, the elements of a dressing room that just seem utterly disjointed. I think that's then been played out on the pitch, where you see a team that just looks as though there is no cohesion whatsoever. Obviously whispers of individual fallouts with certain players, but
is the manager starting to waffle?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. I think it's very easy to come out and say it needs to be better, it's going to be better, we can be better. What you have to say as well, shows the evidence of that. Where is the evidence that this is a team that's improving, and where is the evidence that things have got better?
Well, they now drop into the Europa League. Are they a Europa League side in the first place? Should the Rangers fans just be looking and saying, OK, continue the build, give him the time. Will he get the time? Will it be Russell Martin managing Rangers in the Europa League? This is the teams that they'll be drawn against, Ruffy. Porto, Roma, Braga, Ferencváros, Ludogorets, Sturm Graz, Genk and Brann. What do you make of that draw?
Well, I mean, looking at it, I mean, okay, there's a couple of big ones in there, but the rest of the games, we saw Rangers in the Europa, you know, turning it on. But as it sits now, you know, you can't see that happening because of the situation that they're in. But
We haven't seen that team do that. This is a totally different team.
no, I know, but I mean, when we keep hearing they're going to get organised, when these games come round, you would like to think they are. The window's shut, they've got all the players in. He's going to get a team that he wants to pick. At this moment in time, it's Raskin in, Raskin out, Tavernier out, Tavernier in.
Yeah.
You know,
Sounds like the hokey cokey, doesn't it?
It is. But what fruit are you sticking out?
Yeah, exactly. There's a gag there in there, but I'm not going to go for it. Tam, what do you make of that draw? And what do you make of Rangers now? They look in disarray.
Listen, I think if you were a Rangers of a couple of seasons ago, under Gio or Steven Gerrard, or even Philip Clement, you'd fancy that they ties, Peter, but you're right, it's not the same Rangers at the minute. It's not the same team, you know, to go away and get hammered in Bruges, you know, really will affect a lot of confidence in terms of European games. But I think when you look at that, we're obviously going to look at Celtic's draw as well. Rangers were obviously higher seeded. I think Rangers are capable of picking up points in that. Some of the home games in particular, away games, a couple of them look quite tricky. Obviously Porto away, I think Ferencváros away will be tricky. You know, but they're capable of going to Austria and Norway, I think, and getting results. So I think if you're a Rangers supporter, you're looking at it and you're going, if we start to play, you know, if we turn the corner in terms of performances, we can go and get out of the group and get into the knockouts. But at the minute, it looks a tall order with the team and the way Rangers are playing.
Yeah, okay. If there was misery for Rangers the night before, there was disbelief because Celtic lost to what can only be described as the minnows of Kazakhstan and Kairat Almaty. And this is the draw that Celtic now find themselves in as a Europa League side. They've got AS Roma, Feyenoord, Braga, Belgrade, Sturm Graz, Michelin, Utrecht and Bologna. That's a howitzer of a group, Ali.
Yeah, it's not bad. A few decent names in there. I think Celtic will still have a hangover from where they think they should be about the opportunity that passed them by. I think there's absolutely no question that they'll be kicking themselves still about that performance and result against Kairat Almaty. I thought it'll take a while, I think, for that to properly dissipate in the realisation of what you've lost. I think the Europa League group, I think there are positives to pick out from it, but there's also an argument to be made that perhaps Celtic, a Europa League club, the Europa League team, that this is an opportunity for them to maybe go and showcase that. But certainly I think there are positive games there, and by the time that they come round, I know there's all sorts of talk just now about maybe supporters not wanting to buy into it and buy into tickets. I think when those games come around, there'll probably be a fresh appetite for it. At the minute, though, I think it feels very much like a second-tier competition. Yeah,
well, I was gobsmacked when I was watching the coverage of it because one of the former Celtic players, and it's not something you're guilty of, Tam, nor Ruffy, nor Ali, when we asked for an opinion on the show, lots of people give their opinion. But when Stelian Petrov said he didn't want to say what he truly thought in case he get barred, I just thought that's indicative of where we are as a nation right now, with a lot of really good pundits, a lot of really good journalists who, if they offer an opinion, some of these clubs that are run like Donald Trump's party, bar people, you know, we can speak for ourselves, we can speak for Tom English, we can speak for a number of groups and organisations that are barred just because they offer an insight into what's going on. I mean, just tell us, they were ranked rotten. They were beaten by a side that cost 275,000 quid.
Yeah, listen, I think he should have just come out and said what he thought, Peter. You're right. You know, there shouldn't be a fear of being banned for places, you know, and banned for grounds. And as an ex-Celtic player, you should be able to speak your mind. You're getting paid to do that anyway on the TV. So I was disappointed when they said that. But you're right. I think that Celtic, and you look now, you know, they're signing a couple of players and linked to the boy Holberg for £8 or £9 million. Why did they not get them in last week or the week before? I think there's a real complacency about Celtic in this tie, where they just thought they're ranked 300 places below us. We've got more than enough in the building. They should have had, Peter. You know, you can argue that they should have had anyway, but I think when you get players of that ilk and Balikwisha, then you go and win that tie comfortably. So looking at the Celtic tie again, I think they're slightly harder. I think they're 4 games. You know, Bologna away, Red Star Belgrade away, Feyenoord away, Midtjylland away, who I was quite impressed with against Hibs. They're tough games. And there'll be a bit of banter between Celtic and Rangers because they've got 3 games that they're playing at the same time. They're playing Roma, Braga and Sturm Graz. So it'll be interesting to see how they settle against each other in terms of performances. But I think Celtic's is as a tougher draw than Rangers.
Okay, what about what's going on ahead of the big games? Here's what's on offer over the weekend to try and ease the pain, because the one thing about Scottish football is we're fanatical about our game, and so we should be. We love it, but boy does it need to improve, and there needs to be changes, which I think we're going to dedicate an entire programme to. Livingston against Hearts. Motherwell, the Scottish Premiership champions this season, will be taking on Kilmarnock. Rangers Celtic, Dundee United, Aberdeen Falkirk, and Hibs against St Mirren. There's some belters in there. Let's go to, well, Ali was out at the Rangers training centre to find out what was on the agenda there with the under siege Russell Martin.
Rangers manager Russell Martin faced the media this afternoon after another difficult week in the hot seat as Rangers manager. He goes in to Sunday's game against Celtic at Ibrox under enormous pressure, and his latest controversy came around Nico Raskin, with suggestions that there had been a complete breakdown in relationship between the midfielder and the Rangers manager. Martin dismissed that, said that the player had trained today, and also said that he remains fully part of his plans at Rangers, although he stopped short of saying whether or not he would be in the squad for Sunday's game.
Not a breakdown in any relationships here. If it's honest and open, there can't be a breakdown in any relationships.
Martin goes into Sunday's game under immense pressure following 3 opening league draws against Motherwell, against Dundee, and of course against St Mirren last week. Then there was that small matter of a 9-1 aggregate defeat to Club Brugge in the Champions League. There have been chants from the Rangers support that they don't want the manager at the helm. He believes, however, the only way to dissipate the noise around his situation is by picking up 3 points against Celtic at Ibrox on Sunday.
Proving people wrong. We're not working against our fans. I'm not working against our supporters. It's about making sure we do ourselves justice, and the players show their worth, the shirt. They really want to be here. They have the desire to win. So it's all about Sunday now, and that's the brilliant thing about football. You have an opportunity to put things right and to make things feel very different again.
Okay, does he survive if they lose?
No, I think he's got to win, Peter. And it's incredible to think that after 10 games in charge, 11 games, it's ridiculous, really. But we've spoken about so many times in this show, when you're at Celtic and Rangers, you can't afford to go 10, 11 games, and really, really struggle. You can't afford to go potentially 9 points behind Celtic after 4 games. The league's done, so, and you're in the 1st or 2nd of September, so he's got to win the game, Peter, for me, or he's out the door. And I think it won't be, I don't think it'll be the board. I think the fans will tell you that he's out the door, and I think that place will be poison at full time, and he might struggle to get out of Ibrox alive if they get beat, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you might get out alive. It's only a game of football, for God's sake. But the other thing I was going to say to you, Ruffy, is quite simply, when you start to hear stories of dressing rooms and unrest and players, on the bench not being picked, their dad's actually voicing it out. We're in a different generation now. Joe Bellingham's dad, I think, wants to have it out with the coach. Now you've got this situation here where Nico Raskin, this is not what he needs ahead of this game.
No, and he needs to show a bit of authority. I think he tried to do that after, I think it was a Motherwell game. He tried to, obviously, he picked on, was it Tavernier and Raskin? He said a couple.
Oh, he never mentioned
individuals. The 2 were dropped the next day, or the next game. So I don't think he stamped his authority in the dressing room at all. I don't think there's enough leaders in there. I think he's got a team that's playing as individuals. They're all new signings. They all want to do well. They all want to go and get the supporters on side. I don't think they've done that. We've already seen their defence is just falls to bits at a moment's notice. So, like Tam, I just disagree with Tam. I don't think he'll get sacked after. It'll be the performance. If it was a 4, a 5, a 6, yeah. But I think the performance more than anything, he needs to prove that, as Rangers have done in the past with Celtic, that they can give them a game.
And if he gets players in before the game, do they play? Do they start? Can they contribute? Will they alter the outcome of this game in his favour?
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, they've been heavily linked with Bojan Majowski. There was very little in the way of confirmation of how that's moving this afternoon when we spoke to Russell Martin. But I think if he came in, I think he might go straight in to that team. Interesting enough, today he said that the club's hierarchy will be in attendance tomorrow. He's spoken to them again since the 9-1 defeat on Wednesday night, that they're going to be at the training centre tomorrow that it was always earmarked as there would be a conversation at the training centre prior to Sunday's game. They'll obviously be in the building on Sunday. I think, given the fact that they are not privy to what's going on and the noise around them and the heat in Glasgow and the intensity of the gaze almost in Glasgow, they'll get a glimpse of it on Sunday. And I think were Rangers to lose an early goal to Celtic, I think it will be ferocious. I think it will be absolutely ferocious. And I think it becomes very difficult when you're in a situation like that to hold your nerve and to say, we made this appointment and we're going to resist any temptation to change it, but it becomes very, very difficult.
I think if he loses and Celtic go 9 points clear, he gets sacked on the Monday. I don't even think he gets to the Monday. I think they do it, an hour after the game, and then all bets are off.
Totally agree, Peter.
Who they look for?
I think he's got to win. He's got to win the game. I don't think a draw's enough. I don't think a draw's enough, honestly. I think he's got to win the game.
I think a draw might just bring it down. But when you think then you're going into an international break, a draw might just dial down the noise by a tiny bit of time again. But then I think you just go from one crisis to another. You buy time until the next drop points.
Can I just say something on that point, Ali? You're talking about let's just say it's a credible draw. I play football with a number of my mates who are Rangers fans, Ruffy. I haven't heard one say, a draw or a win convinces them that he should be the long-term view. They're actually at the point where they're saying, no, get him out. Which is sometimes fans can be erratic with it, but to save someone sometimes in a job, sometimes you have to see evidence of, you can see the thing going. I think we're all at fault because we're 11 games into his tenure by the time he plays Celtic. And we're now at the point where now every year, I don't know if it's the social media, the whole thing that seems to have gathered a quicker pace about life, or a less tolerant society where football fans are saying, no, we're not going to put up with it. But you're shelling out a lot of money, and a lot of Rangers fans I've been speaking to are saying, no, it doesn't matter about the result.
Yeah, again, I think it depends on the owners. The owners are going to get an eye-opener, what it is actually like to be in Glasgow. And Ali, and damned right, if it was to go the other way, the fans are going to have banners, they're going to have their saying, and these Americans are going to be sitting there and they're going to witness something they probably never witnessed before. And then it depends, which way they react as individuals, because we've seen it before. And I think Brendan Rodgers said it last week, when the supporters start giving to the board, the manager rarely goes.
Yeah. The other thing which I think, deserves looking at from a Celtic perspective on this, we've obviously analysed Rangers and how they approach this game, and give us your opinion. How do you think it's going to go for Rangers? If you're a Rangers fan, do you think Russell Martin survives? Is it a credible draw that maybe keeps him there? Or if he loses, is he out that day? Or maybe after a bit of consultation? Who knows? Give us your thoughts on it. We'd love to hear from you on it, on this game, which is mouth-watering to say the least. On the flip side of it, you've got a man at 6 points clear, a dismal European performance, an unhappy group of supporters at the way the board conducts its business, and then of course right down to the wire, the usual signings coming in. Brendan Rodgers now looking at the Europa League, where a lot of his players and himself wanted to be in the Champions League. And if he does sign the players, then he deserves it in the neck, because Adam Ida is at Swansea conducting a medical right now. Meanwhile, Brendan's in the press conference saying nobody's leaving unless I get another striker in.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to let him go, Peter, unless he's got something cast iron to come in. I mean, that's just madness from Celtic's point of view. I know Adam Ida's not had a great time of late at Celtic, but to let him go and not bring a replacement in is
potentially young.
Incredible. And listen,
potentially young, Birmingham.
Potentially young. I think a lot of Celtic fans wouldn't be too bothered with that one. I think Celtic get cover, obviously, with Balikwisha coming in, but
Celtic need two strikers, not one.
Yeah, they need two, and they're talking about Kasper Dolberg. I think would be a terrific signing. £20 million buy not long ago for Nice, scored 20 goals for Ajax, scored 20 plus goals for Anderlecht last year, 50 caps for Denmark. I think if you can get Adam Ida out for 6 or 7 million and get him in for a similar fee, I think you've won a watch, Peter. I think there's a real gulf between the two in terms of quality. So if Celtic can do that, if they can get Dolberg in and Ida out, and maybe bring another winger or two in, and all of a sudden you're looking at Celtic a little bit more positively, and you're thinking, right, they've now got a lot stronger squad in the final third at least.
Ruffy?
I can't remember the last time Celtic only had one striker on the books. I mean, I'm not talking about a winger. I'm not talking about somebody you're converting somebody into a striker. They've only had one striker. All the good Celtic teams I can remember have had at least 3 strikers, 3 number 9s, who have obviously rotated and come in. I'm not going back. I will go back to the Sutton, that Larson, the Hartsons, and you can go back further than that. And
you don't need to go back further than that. You just go back to January and say, Kyogo, replace him.
Yeah, but they only had one then. And he was getting injured. His shoulder was popping out. And he was away somewhere, and Celtic struggle. At a team like Celtic, with the amount of games they've got in Europe, you've got to have 3 strikers. 3 reasonable strikers that you can rely on. At this moment in time, Celtic have had 1 striker that they can't even rely on.
This is what Brendan Rodgers had to say at the press conference today. This club will invest. The investment is there. We need to look at the timing of the investment. We want to get the timing right to give us every chance. We've got a major owner in Dermot who is super intelligent and a board of directors who bleed for the club. I hear all this talk of disconnection. It couldn't be further from the truth. We need to keep ahead of the game so when we lose players, we are not in a cycle of waiting and missing out in competitions we want to be in. Well, I'm sorry, Ali, I'll read between the lines again with this Celtic manager, who basically, there's more in his press conference than what he doesn't say. He's the man who started all this situation of having a go at the board. He's the man who was looking to them and demanding that they get their finger out. He's 3 seasons in, my God. Why does he need to say this now when he's actually only, let's be honest about it, in his final season at Celtic before he leaves? He knew all this in the previous seasons. He knew it in his first term and he now knows it in his second term. Why is he waiting now to say it when once again the horse is bolted?
Yeah, you can't put the genie back in the bottle once it's out, and I think his displeasure and frustration was very clear. He wanted players in, and he wanted players in at a point where he would have reinforcements going into the Champions League playoff tie. That's what that message is there. It's all well and good getting players in, but I needed them earlier. I wanted them in earlier, and it's something that has been a perennial complaint of Celtic fans and Celtic managers across recent campaigns. It's about not necessarily a criticism about not spending money. I think if you look back, Celtic spend a lot of money and have spent a lot of money across recent windows and recent summers.
Brendan spends that money? Do you think he buys the players?
I think there's probably an element where he has a say on some of the players coming in. I think there are certainly insinuations that some players have been there that he's not had final say on. I think I sat in a press conference in Brendan's first tenure at the club when Marianne Shved had just been signed, and he said he didn't know why the club had brought in another winger. So that would tell you in itself, he doesn't always have final say.
And if he's upset at the timing of everything, he should have turned around and said to the board, by the way, don't give me your 7 projects first. Give me the 3 that I want that will help us beat Kairat Almaty. Although, in his mind, if you can't beat Kairat Almaty with your current squad, we're not making excuses for him. If they're his signings, he's at fault. He's wasted a lot of money. I don't believe they're Brendan's signings.
I think some of them are, I agree with Ali. I think some of them are obviously, I think the bigger ones, the trustees, the Engels, he's surely got his final say on them. The guys at £1 million, £1.5 million.
Trustees next out the door.
I know, Peter, but I'm pretty sure if you're bringing somebody in for £6 million, the manager's got to have the final say on it. He's not just not going to buy a player for £6 million because it's a big outlay for Celtic. But I think you can look at it both ways. I think you can look at it, he should have got players in and probably would have won that tie. But at the same time, Celtic's squad currently should have had enough to beat Kairat
without question.
And Brendan Rodgers has got to take criticism for that as well. We can't just keep saying, we could have got players in before the Champions League tie. You could have, but you should still have taken care of them, Peter. And I don't think he's come out and said that.
It should never have been that game should never have been in the balance. The first leg at Celtic Park should have been.
The game's done.
And Ida down to Swansea, Ruffy. Come on.
I know. I mean, obviously, they've eventually made up their mind that he is surplus.
No, he's not good enough. Don't say surplus, Ruffy.
He's
not good enough.
Okay, they're admitting he's not good enough now. Because they couldn't make their mind up whether he was good enough or not. No, I don't. He hasn't shown anything, and they keep saying he's a young player, he'll learn, blah, blah. Look at Kuhn, took him a year. I don't see anything in his game. I don't see him as a goal scorer. But a lot of the Celtic supporters are saying Brendan Rodgers came back and said the only reason, well, one of the main reason I've come back is to take Celtic further in European football. He's took them back, whether they like it or no, because he's not forced the issue of bringing players in. He doesn't look as if he's made a stand and saying, right, if I go get 3 players in, I'm off. Because I thought that was the kind of manager he was going to be. No.
I'll tell you one thing, you're absolutely right in what you're saying, but that last bit, there's not a catch chance in hell he'll ever be able to make that line, because, Ali, I have to tell you, there are millions of Celtic fans all across the globe, and if he says I'm off, he will have to go to Benbecula and dye his hair blonde and wear a red dress and get some lipstick on, because they will follow him all across the world. He can't leave.
No,
he's got to sit, win the treble and go out with maybe his head held high, and a lot of Celtic fans who forget what happened in August.
Yes, I think a big part of coming back to Celtic for me, and it's only an opinion, it's not based on conversations, it's only an opinion, but for me was I want my place here. You know, I want to be loved for what I've done in my first time. I want it to be appreciated. I don't want to have this I don't want to have this big black mark against my name. I don't want to be unwelcome when I want to go back to Celtic Park. I'm coming back to rehabilitate myself, coming back to try and do it again, almost to come back and be successful and win things, but this time go out. When I say I'm going out, I'm coming in to do 3 seasons. I'm a man of my word. That's what I'm coming up to do.
Yeah, well, it's debatable on what the domestic situation will be, winning the league, which I think they will at a canter, and what they do in the Europa League. I wonder if they expect to win it, and that's their level. Who knows, based on the signings that they're going to bring in. But one thing about Celtic going into this game, I thought they looked flat against Kairat Almaty, so I'm curious to see who they sign. Will they play in the game? Who's he going to pick? Can he go there and win, or he'll be happy to get out with a draw?
Yeah, listen, I think if you said to this fixture maybe a year and a half ago, you'd fancy Celtic. Brendan Rodgers definitely had the Indian sign initially. I think 16 of his first 20 games against Rangers he won. This calendar year, it hasn't been quite the same. I think obviously they won the final in penalties. They got beat at home and then they drew at Ibrox. So I think he's now three. You could argue 3 without a win. So yeah, I do think that Celtic are obviously favourites with the bookies, Peter. But it's a game for me that's quite hard to call. You know, Celtic, if they go and play well, I think are capable. I think they're a better team, better squad. Rangers have had their number, particularly last season as well. So it just depends who turns up on the day, Peter. And as you say, there could be Kasper Dolberg in, there could be Balak Wisher in. You know, there could be the fullback from Boca Juniors in. So Rangers could have Majowski in at that point. So there's still time for new players to come in and make their debut and make the team look stronger. But would Celtic be happy with a draw? Probably. I think you keep that gap, but I think the Celtic supporters wouldn't be. They want to go and really nail Rangers at the minute and go 9 points clear and put the final nail in Russell Martin's coffin, I think. And
as you and I discussed earlier this week, and Ruffy as well on the programme, quite simply, I genuinely hope this doesn't happen. I think the Celtic fans should not be throwing abuse towards Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond or Michael Nicholson. I think Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond over a long period of time have certainly turned the club around financially. I think they should be celebrated, for what they've done. But I think when I was speaking to Celtic fans, needs a new approach, needs a fresh board, it might even need a new owner. But when I was speaking to Celtic fans, they all looked and went, there's not a catch chance in hell they will give up power.
Yeah, it's a big call, Peter. I think they like the prestige as well that comes with Celtic. Dermot Desmond in particular. He's a very, very successful businessman. He's ran Celtic well over the years, but I don't see them leaving anytime soon, Peter. I don't see them leaving. I think that they are entrenched at Celtic. I don't know how the shares work in terms of trying to buy them out or whatever, but I don't see that happening, Peter. And I listen, with another board with deeper pockets, obviously Celtic supporters would love that. Somebody come in with deeper pockets and putting more money into the team, but I don't think that's going to happen.
It's a great line that we used in the journals the other day there, Ali, which is The greatest weakness of the powerful is not losing the power, but the refusal to let it go.
Great quote that you come up with.
Yes. Well, I used it as a variation on another quote that I'd read.
Yeah, I don't think there will be that kind of change. I don't see that change in hierarchy. Whether or not there's an appetite for it's a different question. The reality of changing it, the mechanisms of changing it, I don't see it coming to any kind of fruition. What I do think is a more plausible change is an approach to transfers. I think at the minute it looks like a scattergun strategy when it comes to bringing in players and recruitment. There doesn't seem to be an obvious blueprint of what it is that you're going to look for and recruit. I think you could look in seasons gone past and you knew exactly what Celtic's box ticking exercise was when it came for recruitment, whether you agreed with it or whether you didn't. It was very much a certain criteria had to be made, players within a certain age bracket, at a certain cost, at a certain salary level. Those were all the boxes. Once you ticked those, that was the remit of players. I don't think you're really seeing that now. I don't think you're seeing a very streamlined approach. I think certainly there could be a more modern structure around the recruitment process. I think that's far easier to do than what it is when you're talking about changing the hierarchy at the club. I think there is an argument that there's a staleness around the club in certain areas. I think it could do with being with a fresher approach. How that comes to fruition, I don't really know.
Okay, Ruffy, Rangers versus Celtic, Ibrox.
Well, like Tam, I was tossing a coin.
All right, you got a coin?
I'm not tossing a coin now.
Who has a coin these days?
I've got one.
Quite a few.
In the light of the two Celtic games and the two Rangers games, Celtic over the two games have lost no goals. Rangers have lost 9. I think the Rangers' defence is there to be taken, so I'm going to go for Celtic to win this 2-0.
2-0 at Ibrox. Okay, Ali?
I honestly don't know. I think I would probably go for a draw. I think there's a whole theory that the form book goes out the window when this game's played, which I think is rubbish. We've spoken about this before. I think it always points to the form team coming out on top, but right now you're in a quite a unique position where you're saying, well, which is the form team? Both managers go into it under pressure of a different sort. Obviously, Russell Martin's troubles are very clear. For Brendan Rodgers, though, well, it's been an unblemished start to the league campaign. There are pressures around the Champions League exit, but also bigger questions. Has there been a game in 2025, a big game that Celtic should have turned up and won, that they've won? They've lost twice to Rangers. They lost the festive game at Ibrox. They lost to Barry Ferguson's Rangers at Celtic Park. They lost the Scottish Cup final to Aberdeen. So I think there are question marks over both managers going into this one. I think the Rangers defence, I would agree with you. I think it looks particularly porous. I think, but Celtic have looked, they've not been particularly clinical in games. So whether or not they can take advantage of that is another matter. But I think I'm going to say a draw.
Ali, you were almost on the BBC there. That was 7,000 words when 24 would do. That's all we'll get time for on the show. I hope you really enjoyed it. Ali's gone for a draw, by the way. 3-1 the draw. Ali's got Skelfs on her backside. So have I. So have you. I can't pick between them. Although I would say this. If Brendan Rodgers cannot beat Russell Martin's Rangers, there's something far wrong.
Yep, and as Alison said, Rangers have had a number over the last 3 or 4 games, so depends if Rangers turn up on the day. Ruffy's right, Rangers are poor defensively, but I haven't been impressed with Celtic going forward, so I'm going to go for 2 each, Peter, but honestly there's no result that would surprise me in this game. See if Rangers win 3-1, I wouldn't be surprised on Monday. If Celtic go there and win 3-0, I wouldn't be surprised, so any results possible, I'll go for 2 each.
I'm really interested to see what both lineups are on Sunday and who might be thrown in, and I think that can always be quite a unique baptism for players when they're just thrown straight in to a game.
How many times do you actually do that though, realistically?
It's happened quite a lot.
Who's gone in straight
Alistair
in?
Johnson went straight in today.
He's hardly going to turn the game at defence. Who goes straight into a Rangers Celtic game and absolutely makes an impact? Managers tend to be reluctant to throw them straight in unless it's real desperation. Is there desperation anywhere, Ali? Rangers,
I think if Miofsky was in and available, he would start.
Yeah. Ruffy, Celtic, anywhere?
No, the only ones I can think of thrown in are the goalkeepers. I think Main gets thrown into an Ibrox game. He did particularly well. I can't remember a new signing getting thrown right in, but the way things are going just now, you don't know what to expect, do you?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think Balikwisha will start.
I think he might start as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to see.
Balikwisha, the new signing for Celtic.
Yeah. I can hear echoes of my old pal, Derek Johnston, who used to think about these games, who's going to start, and I can just hear him say, Derek, what do you think the lineup will be? He used to look at me and he'd go, McCloy, Jordan Miller. It didn't matter what generation it was in. He just rhymed it off, but I cannot rhyme off this Rangers team, and that's the point. Usually if you've got a good side, you can rhyme off 9 of them, Ali, but you can't.
But what you would say is you would favour the team getting into the game with confidence.
Yeah.
On a winning run. You know, you don't want to begin into a Rangers Celtic game in the end of losing 6 goals. You have to have certain characters to get that at the back of your mind to start that game.
Well, Shuggy says Butland will keep the score down, so he's obviously into it. Hugh Burns says Derek Johnson, DJ, he was mince. Hugh, I think you're doing him a disservice. I have to tell you, he could play centre half, midfield very well, and up front as well. He's the second all-time post-war goal scorer for Rangers. I think Rangers, he would walk right into that side right now. That's how good he was. Okay, so we've given our thoughts on that. The Dundee derby, Ruffy. You've got one manager who I think is desperately hoping he doesn't lose it, and the other who thinks we've got a good enough side to go to Dens Park and win it.
Yeah, well, you've got a Dundee United team full of foreigners who've never played in one of these games before. I don't know if that's going to be an advantage or not, but like most of these derby games, you know, first goal's always very, very important if you can get it. I know Dundee have sort of got their act together. They look more organised now, but I don't think they're that organised that they could be comfortably going to a game and win it. So I'm going to go for Dundee United.
I don't think it matters if there's 11 foreigners. If they can play football, Tam, I think that's the key to it all. But I would rather see quite a few Scots playing in these games if we had a bigger pool of Scots that could play and get in the team, or a manager who had confidence to actually say, you know what, they're just as good, I'm going to play them.
Yeah, I don't think it matters where you get your players from. You just want value for money, Peter. And Jim Goodwin's had a great record of going abroad and getting players in. The big one was obviously Miofsky, bringing him to Aberdeen and selling him on for a big fee. So I think he's built a really good side at Dundee United. I was really impressed with him in both the games against Rapid Vienna, and I think they've got a better squad than Dundee. As an ex-Dundee player, I want Dundee to win. I really want Elvis to get a result as well. But I just think Dundee United at this minute look a stronger outfit, Peter, and look better in the final third. Dundee have dug in the last couple of games. Good draw at Ibrox, then good draw last week down at Kilmarnock. So, but I just think Dundee United have got a wee bit more quality and they'll nick it 2-1.
Yeah, I've got to go Dundee United to edge it, Ali. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think Dundee United will edge it too. I think they've just got that bit more quality. I have to say, I think Dundee have steadied in a way that I didn't know if they would. I think it was a really tough start for Stephen Presley, and again, we've spoken about this previously on the show, how difficult it is when you're swimming against the tide. You're not a popular appointment and you're on the back foot immediately and you're not getting positive results. The pressure is absolute, I think, in those circumstances. So I've been impressed. He's basically just made them really difficult to beat, tried to make them as organised as possible and set them up in such a way that they're not leaking goals. But I think Dundee United will win. I'm going to go for 2-1 United.
I hope he gets the players though, Ali.
He still needs players in, whether or not he gets them now when you're thinking, you're really properly counting down.
Ruffy?
2-1 for me, Dundee United.
Right, okay, straight in there. The Dandy Dons against Falkirk. I'm looking at Aberdeen, and I genuinely thought they played, well that opening 20 minutes. I was very critical of them for the Pataudry tie because I thought they should have taken Steaua Bucharest. They should have had a real goal when you're against 10 men, and I don't know. I have a feeling that they'll bounce back against Falkirk. My real worry is Falkirk this season, Tam.
Yeah, I think so as well, Pete. I think defensively, they're lacking a wee bit of experience, Premier League experience. They've fair play to John McGlynn. He's kept with the nucleus of the squad that's probably went from League One Championship into the Premier League. So he's kept with them. He's loyal with them, which is good. But I just think he needs a wee bit more quality, particularly in centre half areas. I think Aberdeen last night obviously poor result, dreadful decision, killed them. But I think Aberdeen have got more than enough quality, particularly in the wide areas. I think still the striker, Kevin Nisbet's rumoured to be coming in probably Sunday, Monday. I think he'll give them a lift. I think the final third in the striker area they're lacking, but I think in the wide areas I've been pretty impressed with some of their players. But I think they'll take care of Falkirk, even though there might be a few tired legs. I'll go for 3-1 to Aberdeen.
3-1. I'm going 2-0. Ali, did you pick one there?
I didn't. I'm going to tip Falkirk to get a draw. I just think sometimes when teams are coming off the back of travelling and heavy legs and everything that goes around European games, I'm just going to fancy Falkirk to nick something.
Okay.
No, I think the supporters will still be behind Aberdeen. I think
Flags?
Oh, there'll be flags. But I think they'll be encouraged by where they are. They're still in Europe. I'm like Tam. I don't think Falkirk have really got their head round defending yet. For the last year, all they've been doing is attacking and playing exciting football and pleasing everybody to the eye. But I think there comes a stage when you've got to set your stall out to get something out of the game. As Ali says, one each. I don't think Falkirk are there yet, so I'm going to go Aberdeen 2-0.
Okay, the Hibs at home for this run now, where you think they're going to be able to take some of the sides that they've dropped points against. I'm going to go to this game, Tam. St Mirren impressed me last week as well.
This is a tricky one for Hibs. I think when you come back off a European game, the last team you want to face is Stephen Robinson's St Mirren. You know, they're horrible to play against, and I mean that as a compliment. You know, they're right up and at you. They're physical, they work hard, they press high. And if Hibs are off it at all, if they're tired legs or feeling sorry for themselves, they'll get turned over. But I just think there's a real deep squad now at Hibs. I think you've seen some of the players coming on last night. Chaiwa in the middle of the park, superb player.
Yeah.
Superb player.
Do you think he needs any more?
Lyndon Dykes would be a great signing, Peter. I think Kieran Bowie's excellent, but I think they need another one of his ilk, a physical presence up there. They've got Martin Boyle, they've got Cleege, the record signing. So, no, I fancy Hibs narrowly here, Peter. But I think Hibs have got a really, really good squad this season. Now Europe's out the road, I think you'll see them going a real good run. Okay, I've got Hibs to win 2-1, Ali. But by the way, I mean, if they get Lyndon Dykes, you know, hey, fair play to him. He's building a good side.
I think that would be a fantastic signing for them too, just to being able to hold the ball up and bring other people into play, a bit of physicality. You saw how much of a handful he was when he was at Livingston, how important he became to them, and I think it just then gives you options. It can offer you a variation in how you play and how you set up, and maybe changing it within games. But I'm going to buck the trend here. I actually fancy St Mirren on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay, you're in that kind of a mood today, Ali, where you're just.
You've got to get a coupon on by this, about a 5,000 to 1 accumulator.
Yeah. Ali,
got a draw.
You might not see me on Monday.
to be perfectly
Rangers to win 4-0, she said earlier.
Ali, you might not see me on Monday.
Got a tenner on that, Ali.
I was just about to say, we'll all put a tenner in for you. Although quite a lot of people will obviously want to put down Alison taking money out of her pocket. Shocker in the first place, to be honest, even though she bought me a sandwich the other day there, roughly.
Subway, can I know less?
Yes.
Other shops as well.
Yeah. Well done. Always keep every sponsor happy. So you and Ali's camp?
Yeah, I think Hibs might struggle for that game the other night there. I'm going to go one each.
Okay, the big dilemma for me, Ali, and I'm going to be honest about it, you know, we're looking here at you know, some of the games that we talked about on the Saturday, but on the Sunday we've got, you know, the Premiership champions this season, Motherwell, because one guy actually put a tweet out, Tam, I don't know if you saw it, but I had been so positive about Motherwell that he's now gone and said, right, I've listened to Peter Martin, he put a tenner on Motherwell to win the league, and he's like, he's gung-ho, he's gone for it big style, and he says, we're going to do a Leicester.
I think if you've got any aspirations of winning the league, which Motherwell will probably have now after that magnificent performance last week against Hearts, you've got to beat Kilmarnock at home.
Yes.
So I think they will. I really fancy Motherwell this weekend. I think they're a great price as well, 11 to 10. I fancy Motherwell comfortably here, 3-1.
Yeah, if I could, and I hope it wasn't just a flash in the pan, but certain Motherwell fans have told me earlier on there were signs of it. But I've spoken to players. I've listened to Stephen Naismith talk about it. I was speaking to James McFadden this morning. I've spoken to fans, and they are getting excited, Ali, because this boy's got them playing. I mean, 62 minutes I looked in the press box, Ali, and I thought, this could be 6-0. They are battering Hearts.
And without their best player.
Yeah.
Taking Lennon Miller out of the equation. Yeah, I think there's much to be excited about. I think the way he's set them up, the way he's got them playing, I think fans are loving it. They wouldn't have known what to do, I think, the aftermath of Tynecastle last weekend, to have been ahead and then obviously be pegged back. But I think there's just a real level of optimism about the season that lies ahead, based on the early evidence of what it is that he's wanting to do. And
what about the recruitment, Ali? The boy Eli just...
Yeah,
last
couple.
week.
I think, do you have three Motherwell players in your team of the week? And
5.
I think that was replicated in other
5.
places too. Well, that would be indicative of how well they played, or perhaps indicative of the game that you were at. But
the only one that I say that I possibly got wrong, and I'm not saying he didn't have a good game, he had a really good game because he was part of that 3 in the middle that I thought were brilliant, was Fadinger, who was, I mean, Elliot Watt ran the show. Eli just was outrageous. I mean, I just thought, well, where did they get him? But the only one that I would probably, out of the team of the week that I picked, I would probably pick Kelly and Phillips as maybe, because he's been, I mean, that ball, you get a ball 20 yards, 25 yards out, Phillips is belting it and he's good.
Yeah, but on the point of Motherwell, I think it's really notable that you have a manager who's come in. He's had to cope with all the noise around Lennon Miller and losing him, but you can see a very clear strategy and identity immediately. So when you're talking about Russell Martin and you're talking about this Rangers team, people are toiling to see the evidence that it's going in the right direction. They're struggling to see the evidence that the tanker is actually moving and going where it should be. Whereas at Motherwell, you look and you think it's very early days, but you're seeing enough evidence for positivity.
I can see a clear identity about them.
Very clear identity.
You know exactly what way they're going to play, Ruffy. And by the way, can I tell you something? You know what it's like? Do you remember watching Tottenham last year and you're actually saying, Ange, please, get players behind the ball. He's playing it out from the back, Ruffy, playing triangles, and they're making brave passes forward. Midfielders passing forward. It could be a trend.
Yeah, you know, it is good to see a team like that, you know, who's not going to, well, although the guy thinks they're going to win the league, I think they might just be outside the top 6.
Well, that's put a dampener on it.
But, you might have a handicap bet. You can get handicap bets like 20 points at a start.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, maybe he's got that. But no, I think they have been encouraging, but you have to take into consideration that last 30 minutes. They've got to tidy that up, you know, to be a team flying like that and winning 3-0. You've got to see that game out as well, but stranger things have happened. But at home, I agree with Tom. I think they'll beat Kilmarnock.
It is Scottish football. I wonder if Stuart Kettlewell will get pelters from the Motherwell fans. I suspect he might get a wee bit. Not that he deserves it in my book, but Jens Berthel Askau hopes that they show the due respect to the former manager.
Let's just say is that I hope that every player, coach, staff member, volunteer that leaves Motherwell and comes back in whatever role he or her comes back, he or she comes back in, that they will be treated, or she will be treated with the respect that they deserve.
Yeah, well said from him. What about Stuart Kettlewell? What's his take on what reception he's going to receive? Well, I think he's actually just saying that he can't think about it. He's just got to focus on the job.
He might do a Gerwin Price. Remember he came onto the stage with ear headphones on?
Yes, absolutely.
He might do that in case anybody shouts bad words on him.
Yeah, for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know, Gerwin Price is
a
darts player. Yeah, so what are you going for, Tam? I'm going for...
I go 3-1 Motherwell. I really fancy Motherwell. I was impressed with them last week as well.
Yep, 3-0 Motherwell.
2-0 Motherwell.
2-1 Motherwell.
Yeah, and finishing outside the top 6.
Yes, definitely.
I'm going to throw that back in your face when it doesn't happen. Livingston Hearts, David Martindale, really looking forward to this one.
And then, so I'd imagine there could be a crowd of around 8,000, which is going to be the biggest crowd in my time outside the Old Firm. So when the Old Firm come, we're just under 10,000. So this is probably going to be the biggest crowd outside of an Old Firm game. Definitely since I've been at Livingston Football Club, and this is me going into my 13th year actually, 13th year at the football club. So big crowd.
Don't know if you've noticed, by the way, but every time I go to a press conference with David Martindale, he grabs the PLZ mic and starts scalping it off the bottom of the... I'm going to have to say to him, any chance you can just leave it alone, David? We're picking it up. But, you know, Livingston, I'm not going to pick them to go down. I just think he's got something about them.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go down either, Peter. Disappointed probably with their performance last week against Celtic. Didn't really turn up. Celtic won easily and rested a few players, but at home they'll be hard to beat. You know, everybody will fancy Hearts. I think Hearts will nick it, but I don't see Hearts going there and running over the top of them. But it'll be almost like a home game for Hearts. You know, they'll have 6,000-7,000 there.
Yeah, and a Brazilian midfielder.
And they've just broke their transfer record. So listen, everyone's positive at Hearts at the minute. Come back and get a good point last week against Motherwell in the end, and I think they'll go and win narrowly 2-1 Hearts.
I just wonder if they're going to play Braga from the start, Ruffy.
I think he has to. I think the supporters will insist. They want to see him. He seems to be a big fan. He's scoring goals. You don't want somebody like that sitting on the bench. I think Livingston will make it hard for them, but I do think Livingston will be in the bottom three by the end of the season.
Yeah. Do you think they'll be relegated?
I think it'll be Falkirk, Dundee and Livingston.
Okay, interesting. You know, it's September 1st that we all decide when we're going. You've gone early.
I've got to wait. Change my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just on that point, Ali, I don't know about you, and I'm only tapping into your memory banks of going to football matches, but I like short, sharp, nice chants about a player. You know, songs that are like maybe one verse and a chorus, but not 6 verses. And the Claudio Braga song is doing my head in right now because they're doing the whole 4 verses, and then the clap, and then all we hear is Claudio Braga. And it's eventually I'm saying...
It's a good sub.
No, but eventually... Well, exactly, that's what I'm saying. Eventually I'm saying, hey, chance of bringing him on. It's long, but when he does come on, he's good.
Yeah, he's been excellent. I think he'll start. I think he's looked really impressive in the games that I've seen of him. I think Livingston will be stodgy. I think they'll make it awkward for Derek McInnes' side, but I think Hearts prevail in this one. I'm going to go 2-1 Hearts.
Ruffy?
2-1 Hearts.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the
Hearts.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the Jambos to win this one. 3-1. Might as well go mental since Ali's doing that as well. What a weekend. On our premium service, we're going to announce the winner of the Scott McTominay Napoli replica top. So thank you to so many of you who are at this point subscribing to our PLZ Premium. You get additional content. We've got giveaways for people who sign up. We've got a fantastic, I don't know, by the way, I know you nicked that, to be perfectly honest with you, our new PLZ gold badges for the premium members. But there's patches, the football show, there's the poster that goes in, there's the t-shirt from the Legends collection. So a lot of premium.
Go on then.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of premium members are getting some great giveaways, Ali.
Indeed, and some fantastic prizes to win.
Yeah.
Are you going to put that up to the camera then, the wee badge?
The badge looks a business.
Very professional.
Yep, absolutely. So if you want to get involved, you'll get
On
some...
your MBE?
Yeah,
You have to be here more than 12 years to get one of them.
Yeah, which is you're just out on that term. Well, you're heading towards it. How many years have you been with us?
I think this is year 7.
What about you, Ali? How long have you been here?
I think I might be about the same.
Yeah.
No, maybe 6.
Do we not join together?
I think you're...
I think we were roughly about the
7
same.
years, which is incredible because out of the 7 years that you've been out of the 13 that we've all been
By
together...
COVID, I had already been in.
Oh, you've been in a few years then, yeah.
A while.
But do you know what you've got in common with Tam, but not in common with Ruffy?
Let me hear it.
Is the fact that you two at times get some amount of abuse on our social media, whereas the housewife's favourite is just admired.
He doesn't say anything to upset anyone, he's just a weasel.
He's turning into Stillian Petrov.
He's spineless.
Don't do it deliberately.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been barred from anywhere, Ruffy?
Marks and Spencer's.
Yeah, you were barred with the Thistle fans for scalping them one day in the show. You remember that?
Yes.
Hounded out.
Yes, absolutely. He was like the hokey cokey with the Thistle board at the time. But nevertheless, premium, well worth it. some great stuff you can get in our shop as well. Thank you to so many of you for downloading the podcast as well. Lots of people like just going out, taking the dog for a walk, and enjoying listening to our podcast, which we really appreciate you downloading. You can get involved in PLZ Premium, and the football show Monday to Friday is absolutely free. All the way across the weekend, our reporters are out there, pre-match, post-match reaction from the managers and players, and obviously I will be joining you live on TikTok across the Celtic Rangers game at Ibrox. So if you want to just pop on TikTok and noise me up, I'll give you my opinion on that, as well as casting my eye over the weekend's football. And we'll also have the team of the week. And Tam and I, tomorrow it's released actually in the next couple of hours. Tam, we've looked at the odds and we've given our predictions on all of them, so people can steam into that as well. I tell you what, why don't we throw in a prize for somebody who jumps in and gets the most right on the feed that we put it out on our social media?
Yep.
Is that a good idea?
Yep, there's 6 games, so 12 points up for grabs.
Yeah.
Maybe a correct score or something like that, maybe get an extra point.
You happy with that, Ali? Have a correct score as well?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ali's been fairly controversial on the programme today, going against the grain, but will she be right? Okay, thank you to Ruffy, who's been his usual self, Ali and Tam McManus with a new haircut. Thank you to so many of you for mentioning that Tam has...
I asked Ruffy about it because Ruffy just slaughters me. What do you think?
It's a new dye colour for a start.
But anyway, Tam...
There's a wee bit of cut.
You missed that wee whiff, that wee blonde whiff that you used to...
No, that's gone. That was great.
It was the Blofeld years. The other thing I was going to say to you, Ali, and it's you'll like this, but the amount of people who have mentioned Tam, his haircut, and they've been reassured, and you know that kind of a cosy feeling. They're saying Tam's haircut is magnificent. He's gone back to the Ned style that suits him, and I think that sums it up. If you can embrace what you're all about, what are you looking at me like that for?
With friends like these.
Exactly, it's like going for a pint. You want to absolutely leather each other. The world is too sensitive. Thanks to Alison McConnell, what a fine broadcaster she is, and Ruffy and the Ned. Don't forget to download the podcast as well, and thanks for listening and watching.